Who's Minister for Magic? Who's Headmaster of Hogwarts? Is blood status still a controversial issue? And most importantly, are there any other new dark wizards on the rise? Today we'll be answering all of that and more as we discuss the wizarding world in modern times.
Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we're going to be discussing the wizarding world in the modern era. It's been 27 prosperous years since Lord Voldemort made his final stand at the Battle of Hogwarts, finally meeting his end on May 2nd of 1998. And since that time, the Muggle world has changed a whole lot. The internet has become mainstream, smartphones are prolific, communication is instant, and everything is online. And if we consider how much the Muggle world has developed since the late 90s, I'd wager that the wizarding world has undergone something similar. I think that since the momentous day that marked Voldemort's defeat, the wizarding world has undergone a significant amount of change. Firstly, because they haven't had a dark threat to deal with in many years, and secondly, because technology, even wizarding technology, develops exponentially. The First Wizarding War ran from 1970 to 1981, and the Second Wizarding War ran from 1995 to 1998, which means that this is the longest period of time, for quite some time, that the wizarding world has been able to exist in relative peace. And with the focus shifting from dark threats to societal development, things can evolve pretty quickly. Just like a phoenix, wizarding society rose from the ashes and emerged from the Second Wizarding War stronger than ever. I've picked a few components of wizarding society to focus on in today's video, but if there's more you want me to touch on, then comment down below. I can always make a part 2. Let's get into it. Wizarding tech. Right off the bat, I'd like to make it absolutely clear that while wizarding society has likely progressed in a multitude of ways, technology from the Muggle-centric perspective is probably not one of them. The first reason being that magic is fundamentally incompatible with electricity. The presence of high levels of magical energy can interfere with electronic devices, causing them to malfunction or break down. This limitation alone would impede the development and integration of advanced technological systems that heavily rely on electricity. The next reason is that, quite often, magic is a far better option. Wizards and witches can achieve tasks through the use of magic that would require complex technological solutions in the Muggle world. Because of this, there is much less incentive to develop technological advancements when magical solutions are more convenient, versatile, and effective. And the final reason for wizarding society's reluctance to adopt modern technology is that the wizarding world is quite traditional. Because they value secrecy and uphold traditional practices, I imagine that there'd be a lot of reluctance to embrace Muggle innovations. And because of the cultural preference to utilize magical methods, I'd imagine that this better preserves the unique identity and traditions of wizarding society. However, just because of the wizarding world's reluctance, and quite frankly inability to adopt Muggle tech, that's not to say that they haven't made advancements of their own. A magical broomstick can still become a better magical broomstick. Here are some of my theories for how wizarding tech has developed. Enchanted communication devices. Modern-day students invited to Hogwarts will be all too familiar with smartphones, the internet, and instant communication. And because of this, I think that the wizarding world would develop magical equivalents. Therefore, I suspect that a new line of portable communication devices with enchanted crystals would be developed, allowing instant and secure communication between wizards and witches. Basically, wizarding cell phones. SelfFlying Brooms. Just like cars and other vehicles in the Muggle world have developed, I suspect that brooms will have developed in the same way. In 1926, the Clean Sweep 1 was introduced, marking the beginning of the evolution towards specialized racing brooms. In 1991, the Nimbus 2000 was launched, a top-of-the-line broom that was known for its groundbreaking speed and maneuverability. And in 1993, broom tech reached new heights with the launch of the Firebolt, a broom offering unmatched speed and precision. It's clear that as time passes, brooms evolve significantly both in their design and capabilities, reflecting advancements in magical technology and craftsmanship. Brooms have consistently become faster and more agile. Braking charms have been introduced, and the materials used to make the brooms have become more durable. But what's next? What do brooms look like in 2024? Hear me out. SelfFlying Brooms. Offering witches and wizards a new level of convenience and freedom in their travels, SelfFlying Brooms would incorporate cutting-edge levitation charms that allow the broomstick to hover and maneuver through the air independently. These charms would provide a stable and smooth flight experience, ensuring the safety and comfort of the rider. These brooms could be equipped with sophisticated autonomous navigation systems that use magical sensors and enchantments to detect obstacles, adjust flight paths, and maintain a safe distance from other magical and non-magical entities. This would ensure that the broomstick can navigate complex environments and avoid collisions. Furthermore, to make flying more accessible for all witches and wizards, SelfFlying Brooms could feature flight assistant spells. These spells could provide a level of stability and control, assisting less experienced flyers or those with physical disabilities to enjoy the thrill of flight. The last bonus I can think of would be long-distance travel. With SelfFlying Brooms, witches and wizards would have the ability to easily cover long distances without having to stay alert, so to speak. This would open up possibilities for more efficient journeys between distant wizarding communities, magical schools, or even international destinations. And while SelfFlying Brooms may not entirely replace traditional broomsticks, they would provide an exciting and convenient option for magical transportation, enabling witches and wizards to explore the skies with greater ease and the thrill of flight. But while these SelfFlying Brooms may have seemingly endless possibilities, I do not think they'd be allowed in Quidditch. Wizarding Virtual Reality, WVR. Virtual reality has become a hot topic in the Muggle world in the last decade, and I suspect that the wizarding world could easily create their own, much better alternative. Enter WVR. Remember when Harry's in Limbo and finds himself chatting to Dumbledore at King's Cross Station? Well, I imagine it looks something like that, combining elements of magic and technology to create virtual environments that allow witches and wizards to explore, learn, and interact in ways that were previously unimaginable. WVR technology would create highly detailed and realistic simulations of magical environments such as historic wizarding locations, mythical realms, or famous battles. Users would then be able to step into these virtual worlds and experience them firsthand, providing a more engaging and transformative experience than simply reading about them in books. Students of Hogwarts could immerse themselves in historical events like the Battle of Hogwarts. WVR could also allow users to practice magic in a virtual setting, taking advantage of a safer virtual environment to hone their abilities. They could learn and cast spells, battle magical creatures, or participate in wizarding duels, without the risks associated with real-life practice. I think that WVR could even include social features, allowing witches and wizards from different locations to come together in a shared virtual space. In this environment, they could interact, chat, and collaborate, fostering a sense of community and promoting international wizarding relationships. Alchemical Augmentation. In recent years in the Muggle world, biohacking has become incredibly popular, the practice of using biology, genetics, and other scientific techniques to modify or enhance biological organisms, including humans. It involves utilizing advanced technologies and methodologies to alter or optimize the functioning of living systems for the purpose of improving health, performance, or other biological traits. As such, I expect that the wizarding world has adopted something similar. By combining ancient alchemical principles with cutting-edge tools, magical researchers and practitioners could explore new realms of possibilities through the advancement of potions and elixirs. With this tech, I theorize that they could produce potions that temporarily enhance a witch or wizard's magical abilities. These alchemical boosters could provide increased spellcasting precision, endurance, or even unlock hidden magical talents. We sort of see this in the Harry Potter story with Liquid Luck, but I feel that this sort of tech is criminally underused in the Harry Potter story. Want to fly without a broom? Potion. Want to lift this heavy rock? Potion. Want to turn invisible? Potion. I also think that potion making as a whole would be revolutionized through the use of precise measuring devices, automated stirring mechanisms, and temperature control systems to ensure the perfect combination of ingredients and optimize the efficacy of the final product. Magical healing. While healing magic in the wizarding world is certainly leaps and bounds ahead of Muggle technology, it still seems like there's a lot of room for improvement. While potions like Skelligro have the unique and impressive ability to mend broken bones, or even grow them back entirely, there are still some issues with this sort of potion at the time that Harry attends Hogwarts. For example, the spell takes quite a lot of time to work, and it is supposed to be quite painful. Therefore, I expect that Wizarding Society would have developed in this area as well. Here's where I think change would have occurred. Spell development. Healthcare practitioners in the Wizarding world could focus on the development of new healing spells that target specific ailments or injuries. These spells might operate at a cellular or molecular level, accelerating the natural healing process, repairing damaged tissues, or regenerating organs. Advanced healing spells could also address magical injuries or afflictions, such as curses or dark magic residue. We know that dark magic and afflictions caused by curses still need quite a lot of improvement at the time of Harry attending Hogwarts. Magical regenerative therapies. Advances in magical healing might also involve the exploration of regenerative therapies that promote tissue regrowth and repair. I suspect this would include the study of magical plants or creatures with regenerative properties and the development of spells or potions that harness their healing abilities. Psycho-emotional healing. When we think of healing, we usually just think of the physical. But what about emotional healing? I suspect that magical healing advancements might also expand beyond physical healing to address psychological and emotional well-being. Healers could develop spells, enchantments, or therapeutic techniques that aid in the recovery from trauma, anxiety, or emotional distress. This could involve exploring the intersections of healing magic and mind-related disciplines, such as legilimency or occlumency. Hogwarts. In the aftermath of the Battle of Hogwarts, the once majestic grounds of Hogwarts School were left in shambles. The landscape was scarred by the skeletal remains of smashed debris and crumbling infrastructure, with what remained serving as a constant reminder of the immense destruction that occurred as a result of the conflict. But nonetheless, Voldemort's forces were defeated, and the sight of the ruins also served as a poignant reminder of the bravery and sacrifice displayed by students, teachers, and defenders of the Wizarding world. And all of this death and destruction ushered in a new era with a chance to start anew. After the dust had settled, it didn't take long for Hogwarts to be repaired to its former glory. Thanks to, well, magic, and the existence of repairing spells like Reparo, it apparently only took 4 months for the school to be fully rebuilt. Hogwarts started accepting students again in September of 1998, just 4 months after Voldemort's defeat. And who better to guide Hogwarts in this new direction than the newly appointed headmistress, Minerva McGonagall, a title that she was officially given by the Hogwarts Board of Governors. As headmistress, McGonagall made revolutionary decisions, including providing extra guidance to Muggle-born students who were unfairly targeted during Voldemort's regime. She was also quite hands-on, closely engaging with students of the school, and even carrying out duties such as sending acceptance letters to admitted students, escorting first years to the Great Hall, and presiding over the sorting ceremony, tasks that she performed in her previous role at the school. But perhaps the most important aspect of the school's progression was ensuring that the 4 houses, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, were unified. The Battle of Hogwarts and Voldemort's regime placed a considerable amount of tension between the students of Slytherin and the other houses, but it did also present a valuable opportunity for Hogwarts staff to educate students on the histories of the 4 houses. With more emphasis placed on the past, Hogwarts staff and students were able to avoid making the same mistakes, which resulted in a much more prosperous dynamic moving forward. The previously tarnished reputation of Slytherin House began to wash away as the school and its community learned from past prejudices. Today, Minerva McGonagall continues to serve as the headmistress of the school, marking 26 years of success as the school's leader. Ministry of Magic. After Voldemort's defeat, there was a brief and unique period in which no Minister for Magic existed, the reason being that the temporary minister installed by Voldemort, Pius Thickness, was killed in the Battle of Hogwarts. But while Pius only served as a puppet minister for 274 days, it was more than enough time to completely disrupt the operations of the ministry. When the dust had finally settled, Kingsley Shacklebolt was named temporary minister, a position that would later become permanent. He would go on to serve as minister for 20 years. Kingsley did quite a job at reinstilling the wizarding population's confidence in its primary governmental body, helping to implement reforms anchored in fairness, equality, and transparency, leading to a marked improvement in the ministry's relationship with the wizarding community. Crucially, Shacklebolt's era as minister saw the modernization and democratization of the ministry that had been overdue. It allowed the scars of conflict to heal and gave the wizarding world a glimpse of a future filled with hope and peace. Under Kingsley's guidance, the ministry sought to cleanse itself of the rancor and prejudice that had festered within its ranks. During his term, Kingsley helped rid the ministry of corruption, captured and imprisoned Death Eaters, banned Dementors from guarding Azkaban, appointed Harry as head of the Aura Department, and, along with Hermione, mostly eradicated pro-pureblood views. In modern times, Hermione Granger serves as the Minister for Magic, a position that she took on in 2019. Since taking on the role, she has placed her focus on a number of issues, including promotion of equality and inclusivity. Hermione has always been a strong advocate for equality and fair treatment of all magical beings. As Minister for Magic, she has a focus on implementing policies that promote inclusivity and equal rights for all members of the wizarding community, including Muggleborns, magical creatures, and marginalized groups. Educational reform and advancement. Drawing on her passion for learning and knowledge, Hermione consistently prioritizes educational reform within the wizarding world, working to enhance magical education standards, introduce new subjects to the curriculum, and ensure that all students have access to quality education regardless of their background. But she doesn't step on the toes of McGonagall. Magical law and governance. Because of Hermione's deep understanding of magical law and her commitment to justice, she actively strives to strengthen and modernize magical laws and regulations. This includes revising outdated laws, creating new legislation to address emerging issues, and ensuring that the legal system is fair and impartial. International diplomacy and cooperation. From the moment she took on the role of Minister for Magic, Hermione recognized the importance of international magical affairs, and now continues to make a conscious effort to forge alliances and partnerships with other magical governments. By coordinating efforts and promoting cross-cultural understanding, Hermione has strengthened international cooperation within the wizarding world, helping all governments address global challenges more effectively, including the imminent threat of new dark wizards, which brings us to the next threat. Throughout the Harry Potter series, we encounter a multitude of malevolent witches and wizards. However, Voldemort, referred to as the Dark Lord, stood out as the epitome of evil, perpetrating crimes unmatched by any other during his era. But he wasn't the first, and he certainly wasn't the last. Before Voldemort's reign of terror, there was Gellert Grindelwald, a formidable dark wizard whose ruthless nature overshadowed other practitioners of the dark arts during his time. Preceding Grindelwald were historical figures like Acristus, Salazar Slytherin, Morgana, and Herpa the Foul, highlighting a recurring theme of the wizarding world, facing dark magic threats from individuals striving for dominance through violence and hatred. Which begs the question, which powerful force of darkness challenges the wizarding community next? I think it stands to reason that the next great dark wizard wouldn't have risen in the generation that followed the defeat of Voldemort. I say this because Harry and his contemporaries would have remembered all too well the loss that resulted from the Second Wizarding War. But the generation after that, well, I think there are a few candidates for the title. 1. Teddy Lupin. There's an interesting theory out there that Teddy Lupin, who lost both his parents during the Battle of Hogwarts, could become the next great dark wizard. The idea behind this theory is that, similarly to Harry, Teddy became an orphan thanks to Voldemort and his crusade to kill Harry and live forever. But what if Teddy developed feelings of abandonment and resentment and went looking for answers in dark magic? What if he blamed Harry for the death of his father, Remus, and his mother, Nymphadora? While I suppose this is possible, I do think Teddy is the most unlikely to become a dark wizard of those who I'll mention in today's video. To start with, he was raised by his loving grandmother, which is certainly a heck of a lot better than the abusive Dursleys who raised Harry. Not to mention that Harry is his godfather, and likely would be there to explain what his parents died for and stop Teddy from going down the wrong path. 2. Scorpius Malfoy. The only son of Draco Malfoy and his wife Astoria, Scorpius very well could go on to become a great dark wizard. Pureblood and possibly quite resentful of his family's fall from power and grace within the wizarding world, Scorpius could easily blame Harry and those who followed him during the Second War for his place in society. And while Draco appears to have repented and pulled away from the world of dark magic, it stands to reason that Scorpius may have wanted to be more like his grandfather, Lucius, or even his great-aunt, Bellatrix Lestrange. 3. Carmen Zabini. Carmen Zabini is the daughter of Pansy Parkinson and Blaise Zabini, two former, rather unkind Slytherins who attended Hogwarts at the same time as Harry. I personally think she's the strongest candidate for the next generation's powerful dark witch. With prejudiced and ruthless parents, Pansy's family was famously part of the Sacred 28, and Blaise's mother had 7 wealthy husbands, all of whom died under suspicious circumstances. Growing up in the Zabini household could very well foster inclinations towards violence and dark magic, in pursuit of enforcing her views on the rest of magical society. What I like about Carmen for a great and powerful Dark Witch is that her motivations, unlike Teddy's and Scorpius's, would be more aligned with the pursuits of her predecessors, Grindelwald and Voldemort. That is, she wouldn't be motivated by revenge, but rather a thirst for power and desire to be in control of the wizarding world. And that's it for this video. Hopefully this gives you a glimpse into what the wizarding world is like in the modern era. If there's anything else you want covered, let me know down in the comment section below and I'll make a part 2. Also, if you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live